So before we do anything else in the Somniel, we'll check out our supports. We've just earned C rank with both Fram and Clan naturally. We did not get C rank with Vander, but we are just 1 point away. So if I walk over to Vander and I give him a pretty pebble that I pick up in the Somniel, I will be able to get the C support with him as well. Will you save scum for bond rings? No, I'll talk about that in a second. I do have my C bond with Mars as well.
It is good.
Okay, so because the bond fragments are pretty limited, we do need to take care to actually do just about everything in the Somniel. The only sources of bond fragments right now are actually at Sami's shrine. Not even interacting with Sami. We can't name or feed or pet him until after chapter 4. But there are some bond fragments that appear on the ground there. Unfortunately, the number of fragment piles you get, like each one that spawns near Sami's shrine is worth 50 fragments. But the grotto can apparently have anywhere between 0 and 3 of these randomly. As far as I can tell, 0 is pretty rare, but you can't necessarily count on getting 3 every single time. So the way I'm going to play this is I'm only going to pick up one pile of bond fragments each time I come here, just to kind of represent what's more or less the bare minimum. And I can't actually interact with Sami's shrine yet. So we have just 100 bond fragments right now. We'll get a few more here in a minute. There's our pretty pebble, which we can use to get E rank with Vander. And where is Vander? Vander's at the terrace. Okay.
If I may.
All right. So we'll give him that. And there we go. Conversation available. It gets us support C with Vander as well. Okay. Now from achievements, you should get at least 310 from these achievements. We've got the 3 support conversations are each worth 30. This is 50. We get defeat 1 enemy soldier, 10 enemy soldiers, defeat a corrupted, engage with an emblem up to 5 times, use an engage attack up to 5 times. All of these things. You could get slightly more if, for example, you ever I think you get one for just avoiding a single attack. Yeah, so the first avoiding achievement, we haven't gotten that because we're never going to avoid a single attack. You will almost certainly have this one as well. So you should be around 420 bond fragments bare minimum at this point. And yeah, Sysis, you're pretty much right. The most important thing, well, okay, to be honest, it is really important to have the supports with all these people just to have the actual in-battle effects, but also the achievements do help if you're not doing certain, I wouldn't go as far as to call them exploits, but there are certain things you can do to generate a whole bunch of bond fragments that you're not really expected to do. Like, you get 100 fragments for deploying all these people 5 times. Every single unit in the game actually has an achievement like this. And you can cheese that just by starting a mission, like beginning the battle and then retrying. And that counts as deploying a unit. So you can just retry a couple times to get these really quickly. I'm not going to do that. I'm trying to represent what what you get if you play through the game pretty much normally and everything goes basically right. So you don't end up rewinding. Like rewinding would actually help me because it would give me more progress in some of these achievements, like defeating enemy soldiers. If you kill someone and then rewind a few turns and then do all the same actions and kill more people, those count too. They count twice. So if I ever had to rewind and fix something, that would actually give me more progress on achievements, which would make the bond fragment economy part of this easier. I'm trying to stick with the bare minimum. Okay. So that pretty much covers everything we can do in the Somniel. We can't go in the ring chamber yet. We don't have any money to donate, so this doesn't matter. This is locked. So now that we've gotten all our support conversations, we have our C supports with all 3 of our retainers and our bond support with Marth, which you don't want to forget. Because once you go to the battles prepped, you can't do that. You can't activate it anymore, and you can't come back to the Somniel once you leave. So make sure you've done everything, but then at this point, we're ready to go. Do you plan on messing with around with the DLC at some point? Yeah, probably. I'm pretty sure I'll get it and just play it out at some point. I'm not that enthusiastic about how the DLC affects the campaign.
Here we are.
Like, there are some cool things about the new emblems, and I'd love to try them, but
place, isn't it? And no sign of the corrupted.
I think it's a bit of a shame how the DLC emblems break the intended experience, I guess I should say.
Oh no.
Danger looms from
All right. So chapter 4 gives us our first really big decision, which is what do we do with Sigurd's ring? The game pretty much directly suggests that you should give it to Alfred with this tip, and I think it's right. I did experiment for a little while with what happens if you give Sigurd to Alir, which is also kind of interesting, but I don't think it's really better than sticking with Marth. And having the higher bond ranks with Marth makes Alir more capable in Chapter 5 than she would be otherwise. You can't use the arena until after Chapter 5, so whoever gets Sigurd now is basically the only person who can get higher bond ranks with Sigurd, and at bond level 3, you get momentum. So essentially, this decision is, who would you like to have momentum in Chapter 5? Among other things. It also affects how you play out this map. And I think Alfred is the best person to have this. I definitely don't think it's Clan or Fram or Boucheron. Vander, I know, has merit with Sigurd specifically for LTC, because him having 6 movement plus 7 off of Sigurd is actually absurd for that. But I don't think the kinds of things you go for in LTC are even close to good ideas in normal play. And I'm not really interested in doing that. So the way I'm thinking about this is I want someone who can use Sigurd well here, gets lots of opportunities to see enough combat with Sigurd to get momentum now and not like be almost there, but have to earn it at some point in Chapter 5. I'd like to have it on turn 1. And I want someone to use Sigurd who can take advantage of the extra bulk he gives and the huge movement. And the most valuable thing you can really do with huge movement is get yourself in a position to do lots of combat on enemy phase, which is something that, say, Etier not very good at. She can use momentum to deliver a huge hit with a bow, but there aren't that many opportunities in Chapter 5 for her to do anything after that, and she's still super frail even with Sigurd. And Boucheron is just, I mean, let's face it, he's not in great shape as far as stat-wise. He is actually a little stronger than Alfred, but not having things like having lances and Sigurd is also just nice because For example, you can have a javelin. You can override with that and then fight people on enemy phase with your javelin afterwards. Whereas Boucheron, if he wants to override, is locked specifically to the Rider's Bane. That's the only weapon he can override with. Clan is the person who uses it for the one turn of this map. Well, okay. The one turn is an exploit, though. Isn't it? Like, there's not a way to actually reach the boss on turn 1 unless you use the whole movement glitch, right? Anyhow, so that's basically the reasoning why I want to stick with Sigurd on Alfred. I think he does use it really well in this map. Having 13 move is pretty nice. Having access to his other lances is also sort of helpful. Not with Sigurd, not so much in this map. Mostly when Sigurd is fighting, we want to use the Rider. When Sigurd is active, we want to use the Rider's Bane. But later on, it's going to be nice to be able to equip other lances and override with those instead of with the Rider's Bane. To answer the question about the movement glitch from Electric BGC, basically, I don't know all the details. It's been a while since I looked at this, but if you activate an emblem, you engage with an emblem who gives you bonus movement, which is mostly Sigurd, but also Roy on Cavaliers and like Camilla. And then you maneuver yourself in a position where you can only reach with that extra movement. And then I think it's you step back one space towards your normal movement range. You disable the emblem. I forget the details, but something glitches out and it lets you like basically move to your target spot without consuming any movement. You just zoom across. So it's to do with like turning off the extra movement you got from engaging and setting up a combat round on that extra tile that you were at that you couldn't get to with your normal movement. It's weird. All right, so anyway, I'm going to rearrange here. Basic idea is that Alfred's squad is going to go north and Alir's squad is going to go east this way. So Alir will be the one who kills all 6 of these enemies, basically. Alfred will take care of this group and then we'll come over to support Salene's squad. And Salene's going to jump right over here immediately to go fight enemies in this northeastern section of the map. So, got Alfred, Etier, but this doesn't really matter, but let's put Clan here, Ram here, and Vander in the bottom right. I don't think we need to make any inventory changes, really. Liberation, Iron Sword, Vander's got his Iron Axe, Clan with Fire, Ram has Art, Heal, and a Vulnerary. Alfred's got Sigurd in his Iron Lance, Etier, Iron Bow, Boucheron, Iron Axe. Just default inventories. By the way, I do not have the Heroes DLC installed, so I did not get those extra weapons from that. I'm not going to use those in this run either. Do these villages have an energy drop, or is that Jean's Paralog? That's Jean's Paralog. This one has a Javelin, and then this other village has 2,000 gold. But preps are all done. Once again, we're going to focus pretty much all the experience into the people who have Emblem Rings. So that's Alir and Alfred and Salem when she shows up in a second. We're going to try not to give kills to anyone else. In fact, I believe we're going to give 1 kill to Chloe, and that's it. No one else gets any kills. Go ahead and save at preps, and then we will go. Yeah, the update 1 bonuses with the steals are after chapter 4, not before. Will you be using bond rings in chapter 5? Yes. But they're not going to matter in the way that you might think. Okay. So like I said, we're going to start with Alfred's squad going north. Ignoring that for a second. Boucheron attacks first. He does have to hit, unfortunately. We don't get the time crystal till
Whatever
next
you
turn.
say.
Then Etier weakens the enemy.
I'll take this.
And Alfred
ready.
kills from the south.
Let me help.
Here's go. Serves you right.
And we'll just run over to the left here.
Here goes.
We're going to have Alir visit the village. It's important that she engage Marth first and then also equip the rapier. Because you can't change weapons after you visit. So we've got the rapier in hand, Marth engaged, visit the house.
What's it?
Gives us a javelin. Obviously Alir can't use the javelin, neither can any of Alir's retainers, or Saline for that matter. But
I take
if we have Saline engage with Celica,
Emblem Engage.
once again we have to do this before we do other actions. And she also equips Seraphim. Then, once to the right side of Alir, takes the javelin from him. You can trade after engaging, but you can't trade and then engage. So that's one of those annoying UI things. But now we can warp Ragnarok
I am.
from here onto this fort above Louis and instantly kill this archer.
Grant me strength. Allow your soul the rest it deserves.
Unfortunately, Saline can't fight both of these enemies. If she doesn't dodge, which she has good chances to do with 55 Avo on the fort, she will die to a 21 physical attack plus a 19 with only 5 defense and 22 HP. So for consistency's sake, we do have to body block with Louis. And he can achieve that by moving to her north side. Because that prevents the armor from reaching her at all. The armor can't attack from the woods on the left. So Louis can talk, block the north side of the fort. And he actually doesn't need the javelin right now, so he can just wait here. And for her part, Chloe kills this mage from the north. Yes, Grift, the frame rate is a lot higher than it was in my first playthrough. Unfortunately, it looks like I can't hold a consistent 60 FPS while streaming and recording and playing this. My CPU just isn't that strong, apparently. But what I like about it is even though it does make some of the animations look a little weird, the general combat animations are a lot silkier, and actually just moving around feels a lot nicer, like on the map, feels a lot nicer than at 30 FPS to me. Alright, so we got the Alir squad to take care of still. All they're going to do is help feed more experience into Alir. And Fram will help with that by chain guarding first. So once again, even though this lance fighter would deal more damage to Fram, he really wants to break Alir. And Fram can prevent that. Clan can just move it a little bit closer, and Banner can do the same. Yeah, Marion, there is a funny code thing that ensures Chloe kills that first mage. In fact, it has the never avoid, a hidden skill that prevents them from avoiding any attacks, which is one of the things I've assigned to every playable unit as well in my patch that I've applied to make all the combat deterministic. So that mage has the same avoid ban that all of my units do, and will never dodge a single attack. Right, but we got the Draconic Time Crystal now, so without that patch, we would be a lot less concerned about bad rolls in the RNG. There's still some places where things could go wrong on enemy phase, and it's difficult to do anything about that. But we're okay now. Pretty much everything you can do at this point is reasonably consistent. And if it goes wrong, you can just do things in a different order to get different results. One thing that does change this map after this turn is the way these lance fighters move seems to be pretty random unless you get really close to them. Like, I thought it was just like a matter of, for example, this guy. I thought it was a matter of him just walking towards whichever blue unit was closest to him, but it doesn't seem to work that way, and I don't really know why. What I'm going to do on this turn is designed to encourage him to go south towards Alir, but sometimes he decides to go northwest anyway, even though the enemies there or his targets there are farther away. So we'll cross that bridge if we come to it, but we don't want that to happen. It's pretty easy to rectify if he does choose the wrong path. How would units like Yunaka work? I mean, realistically, like, there's no reason to apply this patch if you're playing normally. It's just for me to demonstrate that, for example, I am surviving everything, even if I get hit. I wouldn't recommend playing this way and just like not ever avoiding or critting. That's not how the game works. And crits are good in this game, so, well, mostly. So you probably want to have them. Anyhow, I'm going to move Vander to this position, which, number one, he's supposed to engage this armor just to pull him to an appropriate spot, but also that is reasonably close to this lance fighter, so the hope is that will encourage him to go this way, among other things. Clan needs to come over here to weaken this enemy.
Here until the end.
And lastly, we can finish off this enemy with Alir.
I live to fight again.
And we'll have Fram heal on this right side. That gets her to level 2, which again is important because that's when she gets her first HP point. So she's already damaged. It would be bad if she were at full HP and then leveled up, gained HP, and was no longer at full, so she couldn't chain guard anymore. Right. Etier is totally free to attack this hand axe cav. She can't kill even with a crit, and she can't get killed, so there's no reason not to do this. We're going to make sure she can't get attacked by the enemy by the sword flyer on enemy phase, so she'll be fine. That's still not worth any SP to her, but it's kind of convenient for us here in a little bit if she does get close to leveling up soon. To kill that Cavalier, Alfred engages Sigurd and uses the Rider's Bane. We're going to save Override for a second. Use it against the Flyer instead, because Alfred has worse hit rates against the Flyer than he does against the Cav.
If this love is a crime,
Yeah, Illusion Fox, I agree. I think they should have just made it so that, similar to how when Roy levels you up, and gives you more HP, you just get that extra, you just get those extra hit points. I think they should have changed it so that when you gain HP in this game from leveling, you do get the extra hit point as well, instead of just increasing your maximum. So it would heal you by 1 every time. All right, so Alfred's cantering southeast, and then we're going to have Boucheron body block on Etier's right side. He can die to an unfortunate 1% crit, but we'll live with that. And with this positioning, There's no way the Sword Flyer can ever get around to attack Etier in the woods. HP tonics give HP too. They actually restore the 5. That's interesting. I haven't actually tried that in this game. But yeah, that's a break with precedent as well. Previously, they would just give you +5 max HP if you use them on the map, as opposed to in preps. Okay, so we're taking care of Alfred's group. For Saline, she wants both of these kills, which you can get with Seraphim. So having Seraphim equipped before she warped is what allowed her to deal so much damage to this Cavalier on the last enemy phase, so that she can now kill with the half damage Seraphim using Echo.
I want to help you. Allow your soul the rest it deserves.
I do really appreciate that the animations actually put you on the fort in this game. It's a really nice touch. So with this barbarian, because we haven't visited both villages yet, he's not going to actively attack anyone. So the way his pathing seems to work is he just tries to pick the shortest path to the village. And right now, with Louis being where he is, he could randomly choose to run straight south next to Louis, or he could go onto this Emblem Energy tile, because those give him the same path length through around the fort towards his destination. The AI does seem to take into account the fact that my units are in the way, so it sees, okay, I have to go around, I have to go through these woods and then over this way. We don't actually want him to go on the Emblem Energy, though. We want him to go due south. So to force his choice, we'll just occupy it ourselves.
I'm getting
And
hungry.
Chloe, we want to pull away from this lance fighter. Again, we're trying to encourage him to go along the southern path toward Alir. So she's going to fly away. Talk to Saline just for fun. This doesn't give support points in this game, which is sad. And she can just wait there. So that feeds that sword flyer kill to Saline instead of Chloe. This is nice. Alright, so next order of business, we did succeed in getting this lance fighter to go the right direction. If he went north for some reason, you can just rewind to right before he moves, and the AI, apparently it picks the path, it repicks the path like right before it moves, so it can choose a different direction just by rewinding to here. But we're satisfied with where we are, so we'll just proceed from here. Obviously I want Alir to kill off this armor. I also want to be able to kill this archer on our next turn while on the fort, so that Alir will be unbreakable and will be restoring HP, the fort healing. So we want to make sure that this archer moves to a spot that's adjacent to the fort, and Plan is our bait for that. He's going to stand right here, unequip his weapon because we don't want him to accidentally crit on enemy phase. So no weapon equipped, stand here and wait. While Vander can occupy the fort so he can get some chip damage in on one of the lance fighters and restore his HP afterwards with the fort healing. That opens up the spot for Alir right here. And he may as well use Lodestar Rush because we're going to level up with this kill. We've earned enough experience, and when we get our next level, we're going to gain both strength and speed. So 12 speed will let us double this archer with rapier, which means we don't need to use Lodestar Rush on him. We can just double him normally, and we'll have enough power. We'll have, instead of 15 physical attack, we'll have 16. 16 times 2, or 16 minus 4 is 12. 12 times 2 is 24. So we kill this archer when we double him. So let's just use Lodestar Rush now. That way we avoid a counterattack in the armor.
Fate has brought us here.
Cannot afford to lose.
So like I said, level 5, 1 strength, 1 speed. Also HP and mag and defense, which is a pretty awesome level. So as it happens, we also got bond level 6 with Marth, which gives us an additional point of attack. We actually have 17 now, so we beat the kill threshold against this archer by 1. Oh yeah, so that matters because the rapier is not available after this turn, but Liberation still is, and that's 1 weaker. So that's where the extra bond rank comes in. Okay, and can just top us off. It is important to be back at full HP because Alir has 7 defense. These lance fighters have an attack, and if you're not at full HP, there are situations where they can kill you together with their chain attacks and everything. So back to full. And we'll stick right there. Bram has more avoid than Clan does right now in the same defenses. And this archer can't kill either one, so it's going to target the weak, the person who's less evasive, and that's Clan.
Don't worry, I'm fine.
We're going to use Etier to weaken the sword fighter. She doesn't kill, which is perfectly fine by us.
Need some help?
And we're going to move Boucheron so that he also supports Alfred, as Alfred hands over the hand axe. Makes him equip it for extra chain attack here, which does help with achievements, even though it's not really meaningful for this kill. And then you, although it doesn't actually matter here because I think we just want to override. Yeah, so you can get extra progress on your chain attack achievements by attacking normally. And it would be pretty reliable if, especially if Alfred had missed, if Boucheron had hit his first chain attack, then either Alfred's attack or Boucheron's attack would kill. So you wouldn't be that risking very much, but I don't want to rely on an 86%. And also, once again, I do get more bond points if I use my engage attack, so we're going to do that.
One strike will decide it all.
Right. We do need to visit this village sooner rather than later. So we'll have Chloe take care of that now.
Thank you for warning me.
It's also 2,000 gold. This mage has Surge, which is a 1-range tome. So unlike the first mage that we killed with Chloe on turn 1, this one cannot reach past the fort, which means we don't have to kill him to protect Louis. We can stick Louis right here, battle this ruffian, and not expose him to a mage this time. Now, Chloe has more res than Saline does by a little bit, and this enemy gets to totally ignore their avoid with Surge. Can't miss. So the only thing it's looking at is how much damage do I do, and it's always going to target Saline because of that. How long do you plan to stream? So probably a couple more hours. I'm on chapter 4. I'm going to do 5 and 6, which are going to be longer than this one. But I'm definitely going to end at once we're done with chapter 6. So anyway, we've opened up this space. Louis can weaken this enemy, hopefully not crit. And then that does not weaken him enough for Saline to kill with one shot from Seraphim, but as a mystical unit, she gets 20% more damage when she uses Echo, and that is exactly enough to kill.
I want to help you.
Also, Saline gets that kill because the enemy does 1 damage to himself, thanks to her, what's it called?
We're losing ground, are we?
Holy Stance skill, I think. She does 19 herself, and then Holy Stance returns a 1 damage to the enemy for an even 20. Alright, that brings out the reinforcements, and we'll engage those in a second. First, we're going to deal with the southern group. Banner's going to come off the fort. Clan can go past Xander. And now, it's important for Fran to be at level 2, at least. Again, because we want to make sure she gains that HP point before we get out of this mission. But if she weren't there, like if we had dodged too many attacks and she missed some opportunities to heal earlier, she could heal Vander now and then Clan later to try to make up for that. We don't need to do that because we are already at level 2, so we're happy to just run her out of range and not worry about it for the rest of the mission. Alir can equip Liberation, and as we just saw, 1 round the archer.
Dream well.
She also doubles the lance fighters, and what was important about Vander being on this fort and fighting this, weakening this lance fighter, is it ensures that we kill this enemy on enemy phase, assuming we hit. We have a 97% chance to do. We can't let both of these lance fighters stick around because there's going to be another reinforcement coming out in a second, and we don't want them to pile up chain attacks on us. Those ignore the fort's avoid bonuses, and it's bad news. If we hadn't healed Alir at all and she was still at 21 HP, she wouldn't get the fort healing until our next player phase, so she'd be at 21 now. Each of the lance fighters can hit her for 10 damage, and this one's already in position to chain attack against her, so all that would have to happen is this lance fighter attacks plus the 2% or plus the 10% damage from a chain attack, so 10 plus 2, and then this guy can hit for 10 and also get plus 2 from his companion. So they could deal up to 24 damage, but at 25, we're safe. Louis is going to go back onto this emblem energy tile just to be in position to provide support again, and also to wall off one of these axe armors. So stand here. We'll have Saline damage this enemy. She's not going to... She's going to be pretty close to having Bond level 3 with Celica, but not quite. Bond level 3 is when you get Resonance, which is the skill that makes Saline lose 1 HP at the start of every round of combat, but in exchange she deals 2 more damage with her tomes. If she had that now, she would 1 round the axe armor. And it is possible to arrange things so that she does get more bond points from some other kills earlier that would get her to bond level 3 now. We don't actually want her to 1 round this armor. We want her to take an extra turn to fight him so that she can get she can recharge Celica faster. So we're happy to have Saline almost but not quite kill this guy on enemy phase. She can't fight both armors though, and that's where Alfred comes in. Alfred rides all the way over. He's going to take the javelin from her, finally. And then kill this guy using his Iron Lance, which is strong enough and it's a tiny bit more accurate than the Rider's Main.
Here goes! I will protect you.
And then he retreats because he does not want to get broken by the armor. So he's just going to move towards the rest of her squad, and likewise with Etier and Boucheron. So we live with 1 HP. And so does that armor. But luckily, with the fort healing, we're now in pretty good shape, and we can just finish off this Lance Fighter right now. First, engaging Marth,
Lend me your strength.
and then using the Rapier, which is our best weapon now.
I live to fight again.
As for the rest of Team Lethos, we don't really want Clan or Fran to be involved in anything else for the rest of the mission. Fram's got her second, or technically her first level up. Clan's seen enough. But we do want to bring this Sword Flyer down for Lear to kill. So Vander can take care of that by parking himself here at the end of the enemy's range. Etier and Boucheron are able to get away. Etier can just run over by Chloe, and Boucheron can move here next to Louis. So if Louis then moves one space to the north, Alfred can move onto that Emblem Energy tile now. He's just exhausted Sigurd. Moves there, and he uses the javelin he just got to deal 1 more damage, finishing off the armor.
You were a good fight.
Gets him his first level. Alright, so we just wait here, and that recharges Sigurd. Meanwhile, we could have Saline go up here and engage Rodine's group right away. We're going to delay by 1 turn, though, so she's just going to go 1 space up and heal herself with her Vulnerary. Cool. Now, we actually want Alir. Basically, we want Alir to be able to finish off both of these enemies, not this turn, but the next turn. So we're going to have Vander run away to the east and make
I'll do my
Alir go 3 spaces west of him to intercept the left-hand Sword Flyer. So now this one is going to attack Vander, and the one approaching from this side will attack Alir. Meanwhile, Clan and Fram can just barely hide in the corner without being in range. And now we've got this group to deal with.
Power blooms in me.
If Saline waits on this fort, then she'll take a hit from this mage and respond with her own hit. That'll give her 2 more pips on her engage meter, restoring Celica. We want Boucheron to stand just southwest of her. Etier below Boucheron. And Alfred, Chloe, and Louis can all just sit tight. It's important that Louis be able to, well, like everyone needs to be able to get close enough to the next, just needs to pack in pretty close here so they can get to the right places on our next turn. We're going to get more reinforcements out of this fort that we'll have to deal with in a second. All right, so we can take care of these two flyers now, but let's handle this group first. This is the one with the dicier attacks that we might theoretically have to rewind for. First thing to do is to weaken this lance fighter with Boucheron's Iron Axe. He must hit. And now Etier can weaken the other one.
I'll take this.
So the neat thing about this is the damage lines up such that if Saline engages Celica now,
Please grant me your
and
strength.
she uses Echo with Seraphim, she deals 15 damage by herself without relying on Boucheron's chain attack. So that's not enough to kill this one, the one that Etier weakened, but it is enough to kill the lance fighter that Boucheron attacked. So she's not relying on Boucheron's chain attack here,
Let me help.
which is a good thing because he missed.
Allow your soul
And
the
that
rest it
kill
deserves.
Gives her bond level 3 with Celica, so that now she gets resonance. She deals 2 more damage with her tomes, and therefore she can kill the other lance fighter without relying on Boucheron's chain attack.
Need some help?
I want to help you.
We do need to weaken this mage a little bit more. We don't have bond level 3 between Alfred and Sigurd yet, so Alfred does not have momentum, which means we can't really supercharge his damage with Override yet. So we do need to make sure all the enemies are relatively low on HP. Model SS, I did quite a bit of experimentation on this map. So we'll weaken with the Javelin off of Chloe. And now Louis can take her Javelin and use it to weaken the Archer. Okay, so now we can engage Sigurd. We have, with our Javelin equipped, override through both of these enemies and kill them both.
Raise your sword.
So because we can override with the Javelin, we don't have to trade with Alfred afterward to equip a different weapon. And the Javelin allows him to counterattack this mage on enemy phase. He survives both Rodin and the mage by himself. He does not get doubled or anything. And he'll be able to deal, more than half damage to this mage on our upcoming enemy phase. So that's pretty cool. Down south, Clan and Fram are doing nothing. Fram got her level, that's all she needs. Over here, things can vary a little bit depending on where this sword flyer spawns from, and which side of Vander he decides to attack from. But with this configuration, with this sword flyer south of him, the important thing is just that we want to make sure. We just want to make sure that Alir can kill one of these sword flyers and shield Vander from the other one, while preferably being adjacent to him for extra support points. So with this configuration, we can just move Vander one to the right, have Alir kill this enemy from the north, and then this left-hand sword flyer won't be able to get around Alir to attack Vander. It'll be one space too far away. There are cases where this flyer can attack Vander from the right instead, in which case you just do the opposite. You run Vander west, and you kill this sword flyer from below, and then this sword flyer who's now over here can't reach Vander anymore. So let's just execute that now. Vander goes one space to the right, Alir goes here. This blocks the left-hand sword flyer while we kill the right-hand one. And again, we should use Lodestar Rush when possible.
My prayers are with you.
Do you get more bond level with Override if you kill multiple people with it? Yes, I believe you do. I'm like 98% certain. Hey, that's bond level 7 with Marth. It gives us Unyielding, which is pretty nice, although not for this chapter. So a funny thing that happens here is that the mage goes first and blocks Rodin from attacking Alfred with the stronger weapon, which is his Steel Lance. So instead he has to use the Javelin. Alfred could survive the Steel Lance anyway, but it's kind of interesting. Right. That takes care of everything in the south. We didn't quite reach level 6, but we do have bond level 7 with Marth, and we're already at 739 SP, which is pretty good. Up here, we're about ready to finish things off. We're going to have Ye and Boucheron stand next to Alfred so that he gets support points with them.
It's all training.
And kill with his Iron Lance.
If this love is a crime,
And technically I should have had Boucheron equip his Hand Axe for an extra chain attack there. I forgot about that. I'm not going to bother rewinding or anything, but that would give me slightly more progress on that achievement. Alfred has to move away at least one space, get away from Rodin, and now Celica, or Saline, and warp Ragnarok right onto the bridge in front of Rodin, weaken him once. She does have Seraphim equipped still, but she'll weaken him once and then finish him off on enemy phase. Why do you want to use Lodestar Rush whenever? Yeah, it gives more bond points.
My apologies.
Right, so even with the effect of Resonance, causing her to lose 1 more HP before at the beginning of the next combat, I'll drop her to 21. Rodin only has 25 attack with the Steel Lance, and Saline has 21 plus 5 equals 26 total durability, so she survives with 1 HP. And that's it. That's all we're doing for the rest of the battle, so we'll just end turn.
I would have won, you know.
And there you have it. That's chapter 3. We got pretty much all the experience funneled into Alir and Alfred and Saline, and they made some pretty good progress on their bond ranks. Will I go into early building of units? I plan to do a follow-up stream after this, covering things to do after Chapter 6, which I think is more relevant to that kind of discussion. Like, when should you do the paralogs? What kinds of things should you try to do with the early seals and all that stuff? Not really within the scope of this stream, though. I'm now able to adopt animals, and I will gladly do that. So one of the other mods I have installed that I made for myself is one that makes it so the dogs only drop steel, which I think is a fair compromise. Like, in general, I don't think I'm ever going to plan to use like dog resources, just because they're really swingy. Like, you could get super lucky and get several silver ingots really early on and just have infinite fuel for all your low-level forges, or you could just get iron and that's it, and that's basically worthless. I don't really think it's a well-designed reward system, and I think it's more interesting to work within the framework of like balancing donations and the extra ingots you get from that against your other financial needs than it is to just like farm dogs. But I can't deny that it's definitely the best thing to do. You should just get 5 dogs in your farmyard and roll the dice on getting silver on every map. The drops from dogs are not set per map. They are actually determined, I believe, when you begin the previous battle before you pick up their drops. So you can't reset them by like loading the post-battle save and then going to Somniel and getting different results. You have to replay the previous battle. But if you do, the results are different. So we picked up everything. We got our animals. I think we're good to go. I'll just quickly run through the roster again. We've got Alir at 5.91 now. Vander still at his base 500 SP with 16 experience. Clan has earned 62 experience. Ram has earned 113 over base. She's 2.13 now. Alfred has 6.58. Etier 4.65. Boucheron 4.12. He's barely gained any experience. Saline is at 6.63 with 463 SP. Alfred has gotten up to 430. Louis at 6.12 and Chloe at 6.21. We did get 250 bond fragments from conversations as well. And that is important. Those do seem to be mostly consistent, because they depend on things like getting healed a certain number of times. That can swing if you dodge a lot of attacks, but it's basically, if you're short from post-battle conversations, you can make up for it with the extra drops that I'm not picking up in the Somniel. We do want to go back here before we go to the next mission, of course. Sorry. To get our update bonus 1 items and also to do all of our errands here in our base.